Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rocky and Derrick Show. Today, we'll be interviewing some artists that are at elsewhere today.
So let's go and see.
So my name is Guido Villalba Portel, and that's spelled Guido, Villallea. And my second last name is Portel.
So, what do you do?
So what do I do? I'm a person. I consider myself to be a storyteller, a theater artist, and an arts organizer. Um, so essentially here at also I'm the communications curator. So that means that my department oversees kind of like the branding, the marketing, the social media of the space, which is actually a challenge because we don't sell anything. We have 3 floors full of things in the age of consumption, and we don't sell absolutely anything. We sell a couple of things at the gift shop. Um, but when we live it in a time and place where everything is all about selling, it's actually kind of quite of a challenge to sell something um, without actually wanting a monetary transaction.
What made you come up with the name Elsewhere?
Elsewhere. Well, I didn't come up with it. So Elsewhere was founded in 2003. Let's back up actually. There was a lady named Sylvia Gray, and from 1939 until 1997, she had a series of thrift stores right here at this location, 606 and 608 South Elm Street, where she amassed the entire collection that you see before you, plus 2 more floors full of things, right? And she collected anything, so books, toys, clothes, army surplus, kitchen supplies, anything, you name it, she collected. And when she passed away in 1997, she actually owned the building. And her family naturally had no idea what to do with 3 floors full of things. So her family, um, since the place was so special to them, they decided to lock the building up and board up all the windows so no one could get inside. And they would actually come spend the holidays here for those 6 years. And it wasn't until 2003 when George Shear, our co-founder, along with his um, friend Stephanie Sherman. Now, George was the grandson of Sylvie Gray. They just graduated from University of Pennsylvania, and they went to the Coliseum to see a fish show. And they came back here. George said, "You got to check out my grandmother's old thrift store, Steph. You got to come through. You got to check it out." And when they rediscovered the space, Steph said, "George, why have you not done anything with this? This place is amazing." And so that's how Elsewhere was born. So essentially, they were writers, and they invited their friends to come investigate order and kind of get the place back into shape. And it just so happened that those friends were creative thinkers and creative makers as well. And so I think the name kind of came about naturally. It was the space where it was another dimension. It was lost back in time. It was definitely lost somewhere from 1939 until 1997. But yet it compacted all of those years together as well, right? So you have the place and the setting, and then you bring the creative minds in, right? To come and create and then get the place back in order and think about things in ways that a lot of society doesn't think, right? Um, so I think that the name just came about organically. It was some other space, some other place. There wasn't anything like anything else out there. Um, so yeah, that's how Allstar came about.
So, this is a museum, so you don't sell anything here.
Right?
So, like, how do you make money?
How do we make money? That's a good question. Um, so essentially, our residency, some of our residency programs are essentially the artists pay for their food and their room. So that's how we break even with bringing people in, for the most part. Then we have fellowships that actually pay folks to come down here. They get a travel stipend, they get a stipend for their work, and they get room and board for free. Um, so essentially, we get a lot of grants from different organizations. There's of course the National Endowment for the Arts. There's the North Carolina Arts Council. There's the Greensboro Arts Council. But then there's these other organizations that kind of propelled Elsewhere's story and kind of our reputation. The main one being the Angie Wartall Foundation for the Visual Arts. There's also the Kresge Foundation. We got the Phillips Foundation. That they've been going with Carolina. We have so many different, essentially, funders and investors that believe in Elsewhere. And they see this not only as a museum and artist residency, but they also see this as a community space, right? Art Place America is another great funder. And so essentially we apply for money, we tell them what we're going to do with that money, we show them transparently exactly what we're going to do with that, and then they decide if they give us the money or not. And essentially that process looks like we apply for the grant, we get the grant, and then we have to report back on the money that they gave us. And we have to show them exactly how we spent it. And it's hard, it's challenging, but it's also
So what does the two other floors look like right now?
the two other floors. So the second floor is our resident boarding house. So we have about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms where the artists live. In each room there's nooks. So there might be 2 nooks to a room, 3 nooks to a room. So essentially little booths. So there's one big room, and then maybe 3 artists share that room. And to give them a sense of privacy, we had some artists build them little tiny rooms inside of that, right? And then we have different installation rooms. We have a glass forest. We have a ribbon room that's covered in ribbon. We have an office. We have a wood workshop that also has a soldering station. We have Army Surplus exhibition. We have different installation rooms, little pockets where you can just find art anywhere. We also have one of our most famous pieces, which was done by Kent Holloman in 2008. It's called Tornado. It's essentially this giant tornado that's made out of plastic baby dolls. So because people live on the second floor, we do tours every Saturday at 4 p.m. It's only $5 per person. And essentially, like if you were to come in on a Saturday at 3 p.m. and you donated $2 and you were walking around the building and you said, oh, there's a tour, then you just pay the extra $3 and you get to go. And it's really worth it. It's really worth it. I will say it's not accessible to all yet, but that's something that we're working on. We at Elsewhere, we know that accessibility it's an organizational, it's fundamental to our organization. So hopefully in the very near future, within the next 2 years, the second and third floors will be accessible as well. Yeah, so people who might not be able to walk up the stairs, they'd be able to experience us floors too, because that's really important.
So anybody can donate stuff to this place?
No, actually, so we don't take any donations that are objects. So essentially when George Shear and Stephanie Sherman rediscovered Elsewhere in 2003, they declared nothing for sale, and they decided to preserve the collection of the late Sylvia Gray. So everything that you see within the space was collected by Sylvia Gray. Now there might be some chairs, some of these chairs might not have been hers, maybe some of the technology might not have been hers, lights, things like that. But we consider ourselves as a closed ecosystem. Nothing comes in unless it's necessary, and nothing goes out unless we know that it's coming back.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, definitely, of course. Thank you all for the interview.
See you next time.
See you next time.
That's it for the